It's a beautiful Saturday. Well, maybe not outside, but in the computer room as I enjoy stereo sound, digital stereo sound from my wonderful Optimus DCC deck. I got thinking to myself, at first I don't want a copyright strike, so I'm going to turn that down. And then second, I should be doing more with my Tandy computers. Maybe another video. I haven't featured the Tandy Emeritus keyboard adapter yet. Maybe we should talk about that. Let's do that. For those wondering, this is the tape that came with the DCC deck. This is Peter Nero, Fort Worth Symphony Pops. It's actually a cool album, and I don't think it's any place. I haven't been able to find these songs anywhere. So if anybody knows where you can hear these arrangements by the Fort Worth Symphony Pops, any place other than me just trying to dub this, which I'm just going to have to digitize it myself and keep a copy. Well, it is digitized. Make another digital copy through an analog means. But either way, if you know where I can find this that's not another DCC tape, let me know. There's a lot of cool tracks on here, and if there comes a time when this deck doesn't work again, I'm going to want it. Okay, now let's really get to the video. Hey everyone, I'm TJB Chris. Welcome back to the channel. It's good to have you again. As always, we're here in the computer room. It's a wonderful Saturday, and I've got a threefer for you today. So first off, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my time at VCF Southwest. I'm not going to show you lots of recap footage or anything. I didn't do that. Plenty of other folks did, so go watch their stuff. They cover it much more brilliantly than I would. Suffice it to say, though, I did go to VCF Southwest in June, and I did really enjoy myself. I got to meet some Tandy folks. I got to meet some engineers from Tandy Corp. I got my name in lights on the side of Tandy Center. I gave a presentation, believe it or not. Though if you watch it, link, if you watch that, either do speed, drink a lot of caffeine, or find some way to get yourself hyped up, because apparently somebody pressed my high-speed dubbing button and I was in turbo mode. I did get a lot of great feedback. If you happen to be there, thank you for coming. I really enjoyed having you all. I enjoyed the feedback, and I hope you learned something, and I hope you got not just an appreciation of 8-inch systems here, but of all of the Tandy computers. There's a lot out there for you, and that was really the theme of it for those who didn't watch and don't care to. I'm also going to talk about this, the Tandy Emeritus keyboard adapter, and I'm finally going to show off, while we're doing that, my Tandy DT-100 terminal. This thing's been in the background for now all of about 6 or 8 months, and I haven't said word one about it, except maybe acknowledging that it exists. So we'll take a look at that too. I figured it's a nice way to kind of wrap some stuff up that doesn't necessarily need individual videos. So yeah, that's VCF Southwest. Met Joel at A Byte Behind, and he had a great Network 3 setup there. Also talked to Eddie over at the Tandy Showcase, which, by the way, won Best in Show. And that's where the Tandy Center demo was, also VIS and some rare VIS hardware like development cards and other things like that. That was super cool. Got to talk to the folks that wrote the software that put the words on the side of Tandy Center in lights. That was really cool. Enjoyed meeting all of you. Ran into a few subscribers, so thank you for that. If you ever do see me out, by all means, feel free. Come up and say hello. I'm approachable. I'm happy to take any feedback, even if it's not the most kind. Fortunately, all of you were very kind to me. So I like to bet my wife with a trading places bet. If I'm going to do something, I bet the usual amount.
How much you want to bet?
The usual amount?
Why not?
$1.
And in this case, I bet that given the relative small size of my channel, that nobody outside of the Tandy sphere would necessarily recognize me. Now I figured I probably had a 50-50 chance of making it through without somebody coming up saying hello. I was wrong. It took all of 10 minutes. Those of you who popped up who saw my talk, also thank you for popping up. I had folks show up during the show and say hello and ask questions, so that was a lot of fun. Either way, that's VCF Southwest. That's all you need to know. Everything else you need to know is much more brilliantly captured on other YouTube channels. Okay, now on to the Tandy Emeritus adapter. I'm going to take a quick overview of this. We're going to hook it up to my Model 16. We're going to hook it up to my Model 12 here, because there are not one, but two different ways to connect this little bugger. And then we're going to take a brief tour of the DT-100. Let's get to the Model 16. So let's take a closer look at it from the sides here. Of course, we have our 5-pin DIN connector here. This is where you'll connect the Model 2 or 16 keyboard connector, or if you're going to connect it to a 16B, 12, or 6000, you can make a cable that'll connect this. Or alternatively, on all systems, you can connect it directly to the keyboard connector on the card and mount it inside the machine if you like, using these pins. Just be careful to make sure that you get the orientation right. This white on the silk screen here, this indicates where the cutout, the key pin, would have been on the factory cable. And you want to be careful not to get this on backwards, because if you do, you will damage the board for sure, and you could damage the computer. It has a really cool blinky light for keyboard activity because, again, more lights, more blink, more better. You know me. And it has a connector for the USB keyboard here, as well as a connector for power. And this thing can be powered either by and for also programming this, the power can be powered by the keyboard externally, or you can power it by this guy. So there's a couple of ways to power it and run it. You can turn off the blinky LED, although quite frankly, I almost just jumped that permanently on, but you know, I always like flexibility. So anyway, this is available pre-built from Tandy Emeritus. You don't have to build it yourself. And so check out tandy-emeritus.org if you are interested in picking up one of these wonderful devices, pre-assembled, ready for action. Let's connect it up to my Model 16 and we'll take it for a spin. All right, we'll pull the old keyboard out. And as I mentioned, on the 2 and 16, a male cable just comes out of the front of the machine. So this is really super easy to connect. Watch and learn, folks. I'm going to show you the most technical thing we do in the room here. I'm going to take this cable here and I'm going to connect it directly to the computer. We now have this connected. I'm going to move it out of the way. Unfortunately, this is the only keyboard I have. This thing is a monstrosity of a keyboard, but it is a Logitech USB keyboard. See, USB, woohoo. And so it's going to do exactly what I want. So let's just plug it in. It's not going to quite fit, but whatever. And we'll just connect this up. See, again, very simple. Plug, plug, and there we are. We are now connected. I'm going to fire up my hard drive here. Let it sit for a sec. And once the drum beeps, we'll fire this puppy up. Okay, well, I see the controller on. The light's on there. I don't know if you can see it or not. And here we go. All right, I've zoomed you in. The screen is super reflective, so you can see me motioning in it, and probably my lights. All right, let's hit enter here. So we get the XENIX prompt, and now we have to turn on the virtual consoles when this thing boots up. And XENIX, this is XENIX 3.3, I believe, so it should have, yep, it is 3.3. And it's got, you can see here, con driver 4 screens using 8K available. And this is configurable, but I'm just going to leave it at 4. However, these additional screens aren't available by default. With a keyboard, we've got to go enable them. So to do that, we enter single user mode. And here we are in system maintenance mode, and we disable the console. And then there are TTY-C devices, TTY C0 through C9 that we can enable. Since I only have the 4 screens, I'm just going to do 0 through 3. I could have done this with a for loop, but, you know, isn't it more fun watching me type? Okay. And that should do it. Now, every time I boot the machine up, XENIX should start Getty processes for each of these. So let's Control D out of here, and the system should resume booting. Now, as we can see, we're booted up, and now the cursor's different. It's now a block instead of the usual underline. So now I should be able to log onto this console and type in my password, hopefully correctly. And of course, I'm watching the little LED blink off to the side here. That's fan-freaking-tastic. I love blinking things as this logs me on. And now, of course, I can use the Alt keys to go between consoles. So I'm in console 1 right now, and go to console 2 and become root there. And I don't know if I have anybody in... Or it might be that control key. All right, do I have any other users on here? Yeah, no. Who's sysinfo? I always love these basically commands for the logon prompt. That just run the command and come right back out. Anyway, nope, you know what? So whatever, we'll just be Chris again. And now, Chris on console 3 here can run a copy of MBasic. And clearly I have to type in a program and run it. Print, hello, you rummy buzzard. 20, go to 10, run. Okay, and I can go back to this one and I can run, actually I can run Apple, and I think I have profile on here, yep. So I'll run profile. And yeah, I wonder what that's about. Arrow keys seem to work nicely. The left side of my screen's a little into a little bit blinky over there. That's new. I'm going to have to see what that's about. I wonder if I have connection issues or something in there. The screen seems stable. I might just have a little bit of an issue. Interesting. All right, well, we'll take a look at that. See, there's always something to work on with these machines, folks. I kind of mentioned that in my VCF Southwest thing. In fact, I jinxed myself because I made the mistake of saying I have 3 of these things and all are working perfectly. Rookie mistake. But anyway, and now I can go over here and just kind of play around with whatever I want. Yeah. User, lib, UCP, LC, and we can look at L.sys, for example. I can play around with UCP while I'm doing all that stuff. You can see I've been playing with UCP. Sometime that'll be a video on the channel. It's been requested a few times. I will get to it. The Coco 3 is not playing nice, but I really want the Coco 3 in that video because OS 9 has a UCP implementation. But anyway, so now we're all logged on over here. This thing is really making it so I can multitask over here. And of course, if I go back to Alt 3 and hit my console, my Rummy Buzzard program is still running. But wait, as Billy Mays likes to say, there's more. In addition to all of the virtual consoles, you can also bail out on a terminal. You can send the hang-up signal by hitting Alt-Escape, which will hang up on it. And see, it logged me right back out. So if you lose control of it, you can't get keyboard control of it back, Alt-Escape will drop you back out to the logon prompt. Just hang up your terminal, which is great. Break, of course, is Control-C. And the hold key, importantly enough, is F9 if you need it. So keep that in mind. I'm just going to hit X for exit. And actually, I'm not doing anything as root, am I? No, I'm not. But you know, folks... Oh, and there's one more thing I forgot to mention. And I'll see if I can get this in frame to show you that. If you hold Alt-V, it'll Morse code out the version number on the blinky light. Clearly, this is a great piece of hardware. It is great. I will probably mostly use in my day-to-days my standard keyboards because part of it's part of the experience. But when I really need to get something done, if I'm writing code on these, this adapter is going to be there, and I'll find a keyboard that doesn't suck quite as bad as this one. Maybe I'll use my work USB wireless keyboard. Imagine that, folks. Wireless USB keyboards on a big Tandy. That's fan-freaking-tastic right there. But there's another way to connect this. So let's jump over to the Model 12, and we'll look at the alternative way to connect this up. And before I do that, I better shut myself down. All right, I'll just pull out our Model 12 keyboard here. Get that put off to the side. It'll be back, but... for now, we're going to put that away. Let's bring over our new modern fancy pants USB awesome here. And let's run around back and see how we connect this puppy up. Here we are looking at the Model 12's beautiful backside. And I'm going to dip right into here, take off the cover, because that's now where the Model 12's expansion goodies are. So we're looking here at the video card, and let's just zoom you in a little bit so you can look even closer too. We also have Ian Maverick's hard disk interface board for Fred F48 and also for the 1250 meg systems, which, by the way, are for sale on now. I think he has them listed on eBay. So check those out if you want a hard disk interface board for these. So anyway, this is the keyboard connector. This is the video connector. There are different numbers of pins, so unless you're really not paying attention, it's going to be impossible to connect these the wrong way. But I'm not going to say impossible because people are people. But anyway, this is the video connector. As I mentioned, it is keyed. So you can probably see on the connector here, there is a blanked out pin, and that missing pin is on the corresponding connector. So when you connect this up, you need to make sure that you get it correct. As you can see on the adapter here, the connector doesn't, you can leave the pin out if you want. Doesn't really matter. I just had the header, so I put it in. But you are very obviously not supposed to connect to it. The silk screen makes that clear. And if you get this wrong, you're going to send 5 bolts down the wrong pin. You may blow the controller out, or you could damage the computer. So just be careful. I think you're more likely to just damage this. The nice thing is this is, built socketed, so if you do blow something up, these are, easy to remove, and you can basically dash un-F yourself very quickly. So we're going to be very careful. I'm going to hook up the wires to this first. I've got this color-coded cable here with these nifty ends that I'm going to connect up, and then we'll hook it up and try it out. There we are, all connected. So on the one side of the gap, I have red here, and that's there, and then I've got orange, yellow, green, and blue in the same order. So this should be safe, and I should just be able to dangle this as long as it doesn't connect with the floppy adapter. Okay, let's go try this out. Okay, we're going to power this up. And I should get insert diskette. Let's do that. And they're off. Okay, and today is 06. Yeah, 2024. And the time is currently 14:47. And as you can see, that's 5, exit from system. Now, this is in lowercase mode, which is all we all know. TRSDOS does not accept commands in lowercase, but this is easily rectified with the caps lock command. And otherwise, it's very nice and pleasant to type on. Well, as nice and pleasant as this keyboard is, but honestly, it's not too bad. I've got all my various TRSDOS commands here, and I'm typing standing up, and the camera's on, so I'm just going to do great at that. But overall, if you either don't have a keyboard for these machines, or you have one that needs repair, or you just really need a higher quality typing experience because you're doing something, software development or something on one of these machines, or a lot of keyboard work, and you are less worried about the keyboard nostalgia and more worried about whatever it is you're actually trying to accomplish, this is a great option for you. You should go check it out at tandy-emeritus.org. And now, let's get on to the DT-100. I promised you lots of great stuff. It is a smorgasbord of Tandy entertainment today, folks. Let's go to that DT-100. And here we are over at the DT-100, complete with its matching desk phone. That is a Chronophone 255. You've seen it in previous videos on the channel. And this is branded Tandy TRS-80. So the initial ones of these actually were TRS-80 branded, kind of like the Tandy 2000 was. They still had TRS-80 on there. If I come in under the nameplate, you can see that. Later ones ditched the TRS-80 and just had the more traditional Tandy logo along with DT-100 kind of on their data terminal. And of course, just looking at it, it's a pretty sleek device. And you can see we've got a really nice keyboard here. And this keyboard, again, just a Wise keyboard. It does actually have the Tandy DT-100 branding on it here. As you can see, if I zoom in on there, there you go. And of course, a whole bunch of function keys. Speaking of function keys, one thing I didn't mention about the Tandy Emeritus keyboard adapter is that if you have a Model 2 or 16 that only have the 2 function keys, it actually allows you to get access to the additional function keys, F3 through F8, that are on the 12, 16B, and the Tandy 6000. So, if you want to make use of those keys in your software, or have software that does, the Tandy Emeritus keyboard adapter is a great way to go. I've zoomed in on the screen a bit here. Now, this for me is a terminal. I know there's the DT1, which looks like a TRS-80 Model 4. I think it is just a Model 4 case, but it's modified for just a terminal. It's a nice terminal. I like it, but for me, this screams terminal. I think it's a combination of just the font and the overall feel of this thing. This just feels official. And this thing has a setup program here, and you can see we've got kind of a highlight here that moves. If I go here and I can set up the speed settings and things like that. I can go up and down, set the screen modes, columns. There's a CRT saver to turn it off. You can change the cursor, which I'm not changing. And handshake stuff, all sorts of great things. Let's just hit setup. I do not want to change anything, so we're right back to where we started. And now what I'm going to do here is on the Model 16, I will enable the serial console, and we will log in on this and check it out. All right, I've disabled our virtual consoles, and we're back into native keyboard mode. So we're just going to log on to this bad boy, and I should be able to make sure that my TTYs are configured correctly. So that's the first thing we're going to do here. Oop. I don't need to see TTYs. All right, it's obviously disabled, and let's look at TTY type. Okay, so I've got ANSI there. I think I've got it connected to TTY02. So let's. And then once I do, I'm just going to leave this logged on. Let's enable TTY02 and see what happens, assuming I can type. And there we are. Tandy 6000 log in. All right, so now, and you get that nice beep as I go. Oop. I think I got my password wrong, but hopefully it lets me correct it. I got it wrong. And there I am. We're in. TGB Chris's TRS-80 Model 16, and now I have all of my great stuff here, so if I want to go, I should have done that in a thing, but Pro menu, I should be able to run all my stuff on here because I have the terminal correctly defined. Oh, terminal type not found. Apparently Profile doesn't support the DT-100. Oh, you know what? It does. Some applications have to have updates applied to be able to run DT-100. Okay, well, let's try DeskMate. And this is actually an 80 by 25 screen, so this top line, the status line, doesn't take away from your screen real estate. Yeah, that's not ideal. I mean, it kind of works. It does do the highlights, though. Like, the highlights, it does have a way of handling it. Okay. So you can, I mean, who's using DeskMate? I don't think, did anybody actually use DeskMate on these machines? I mean, they sold it for a lot of money. I don't know if anybody ever actually used it. And, of course, over here I can, you can't see it on camera, but I can do root stuff all I want, play around. We can, of course, do mbasic, because why not? We can just do basic. But, I mean, it's a pretty bog standard terminal. It's really nice. I like it. I love the font. It's nice and clear and crisp. This one isn't exactly perfect. There are some issues with it. Sometimes when it powers up, vertical sync is a little unstable, but it does stabilize, so I've got to look at that. And also, as it runs, the screen has a tendency to kind of crawl to the left a little bit. So I do need to do some rehab on this, but it is working. I did have a couple of bad electrolytic caps that prevented it from working at all that I replaced, but otherwise it does work pretty well. And this is, if you don't have a Tandy Emeritus keyboard adapter, is another great way to get a hold of a Model 16 and have multiple screens up at the same time for not so virtual consoles, right? And user lib UCP, and again we can just kind of look around there. Yeah, and we have, I can hear the Model 16 doing its thing over here, and let's, all right, I can look at my files. Oh, I'm not root, so I can't look at my files, whatever. I can't even look at ls.sys. I think this is my, yep, log file, just so I can tail the log file without having to retype the command over and over again. Yeah, I don't think my clear command will work, will it? Nope. So on the console, I think it's I can actually look. But either way, there's a particular character code, and I didn't write my clear command to be smart and use term cap, so it just echoes out the stupid character. It's a short little C program. Actually, yeah, I think I can show you that. Oh, is it in C? I think it is. Yep. Yeah, see, it's escape 14. So that's literally all it does. So I didn't make my command smart. I usually just clear on the terminal anyway. So that's pretty cool. I mean, that's pretty much the terminal. It's a nice, easy to use, pretty plug-and-play terminal. It's got a cool setup program that lets you mess with it. It's got bright and dim text. It has screen dark, blinking block. You can custom configure the F keys above F6 and the shifted versions of them. Attribute dim, margin bell. There's a margin bell. Type ANSI. Yep, I'm using ANSI. That's fine. So I'm just going to not save that. No. And that's it. That's really the DT-100 terminal. The keyboard's pretty decent. And again, this just screams for me like official terminal of Unix computer, right? It just really makes me think. Just makes me think. I feel like I'm officially working with some far-flung big iron in a back room someplace. Which, I mean, honestly, the Model 16 is kind of a big iron kind of system. So I think that's going to do it for this video. 3 great subjects in one convenient video. How is that for efficiency? Tandy Emeritus keyboard adapter, DT-100, and finally we talked a little VCF Southwest. So I thank you very much for watching. If I didn't mention you and I ran into you at VCF Southwest, please don't take it personally. I'm sorry. Otherwise, until next time, I thank you for watching. I am TGB Chris. Stay classy.